This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Game 7 is upon us. And, Game 6. Look, I'm already jumping the gun, Andy. I'm already jumping the gun. Game 6 is upon us, and it's definitely an elimination game for the Knicks. And, my mantra for today, I was listening to Jalen Brunson in his interview, and basically he said, they were asking him about playing 48 minutes and all of that. And he just said, whatever I got to do. Whatever it takes. That's the way I feel right now, Andy. That's the way I feel. Whatever it takes. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you got to go up into the front office and punch Pat Riley in the face. Whatever it takes to win is what I need the Knicks to do tonight. You know what I'm saying? To get this win and push it to a Game 7. Game 7's not here yet. Get this win and push it to a Game 7. Andy, how are you feeling about tonight?
What up, Sim? What up to the chat? Sim, I think that, it's like deep down in your conscience that if we get this W, there's going to be a Game 7. And for me, like I told you before we went on, if the Knicks get a W tonight, for me, it's like maybe not 95, but it's like 80 couple percent chances the Knicks get that W at home.
Let's get that W.
I believe it so much. That's why this game is literally for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, it could be, man. It could be. The Knicks really need to approach it the same way they did Game 5. They approached it like it was a Game 7. They got to approach tonight, like it's a Game 7. You know what I'm saying? And this might be the most physical game that we have this series. You know what I mean? It might be the most physical.
And it should be, Sim. The Knicks shouldn't be backing off by any means. They should start playing hard, physical, even dirty basketball versus the Heat. And don't matter the outcome, even if we lose, I want to know that the Heat players had a physical battle versus the Knicks. Not like they had a walk-off or something like that. So I don't want any, smiles around the game unless we're up 20 and they're smiling between each other. So
yeah. And, the Miami Heat's been playing dirty. You probably seen the video that I put out yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And I snitched. I don't care. I sent it to the league. I sent it to the NBA refs. Did they pay attention to it? Who knows? But I did what I said I was going to do. And I don't care. You know what I mean? Because they're playing dirty basketball. And there's Miami Heat fans probably in the chat. Cool, whatever. I'll say it to your face too. They're playing dirty basketball. I have no problem with a team being physical. I love teams playing physical. But you cross the line when you're sticking your foot out purposely to trip somebody. When you run into somebody's back. You're not even trying to get the rebound. You run into their back and push them out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's dirty. Even when Bam Adebayo dove on the ball with Emmanuel quickly in that loose ball, he didn't just dive on the basketball, right? He purposely pushed his body into Emmanuel Quickly's legs. You can see when he dove at an angle so that he can make sure that he hit Emmanuel Quickly. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? There are times when I know you're going to bump your body into your opposing team purposely. I get that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to do those things. But you also know how to do it with taste and with tact. You're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to bump him right here because I might take out his legs. I'll bump him in the shoulder. You don't go at somebody's legs the way he did with Emmanuel Quickly. That's the way it looked to me. You know what I'm saying? Because going at someone's legs can really damage them for, they play basketball. That's one of the main things they use when they play basketball is their legs. You bump them in the shoulder, maybe you bump them in the hip. I get that. But you don't go after somebody's legs. I think that's dirty basketball. And I think the Heat's been playing that type of dirty game the entire series. You know what I mean? The way that they wrap up their arms and just all kinds of dirty stuff, man. And so the Knicks got to, the league ain't going to do nothing about it. The refs ain't going to do nothing about it. So the Knicks got to match that type of game. They got to match that play. They got to do the same thing.
Yeah, and Sim, I mentioned it the last preview, right? That we had, me, you, and Tony. It's exactly like you said. They gotta match the play, the game type. Even if you want to call it the dirtiness of the game, you gotta match it. Unless if you don't do it, you're just gonna get bullied around, and you don't want to end the season on a note that you got bullied and you didn't,
and you didn't stand up for him.
Fought back, right? Yeah. So even if you're gonna lose, you want to try to fight back,
right?
So I believe this is the like we said, they gotta match it. They gotta match the intensity, the physicality, the dirtiness, whatever it takes. And like we said, this is Game 7 for the Knicks, literally, because if they lose, they're going to home. So it's all on the line for the Knicks now,
right? And R.J. Barrett was asked in his post-game interview the other day about Miami not playing physical. Alan Hod put it in, not playing dirty, but, Alan Hod put it in some nicer words, right? He said the tricks. They're using those veteran tricks. And RJ was, and we're learning how to use those tricks back so that we can get the advantage. And I hope they're truly learning how to use those tricks. But I'm going to say they're playing dirty. It's not tricks. Tricks is, you're going for a rebound and you wrap somebody's arm, but you let it loose. You know what I'm saying? That's some of those little veteran type tricks that you might use. And there's a few little things that, veterans use. That it's definitely physical, but not dirty. Miami is dirty. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's the Heat culture everybody talks about, right? The dirtiness. One last thing, though, before we get to the injury report for today that I wanted to ask you about. And I want to find out what the chat thinks about it, too. I don't have it to play it. I don't want to play it, really, because it kind of pissed me off a little bit. I heard Kenyon Martin was talking about Julius Randle. I know you saw it, Andy, right? Kenyon Martin was talking about Julius Randle with Gilbert Arenas. And he was, they were literally, you talk about poking fun at somebody. That's what they were doing. It was, to me, it was tasteless, and they were talking about how Julius Randle, after the game, went over, kissed his son and kissed his wife, and that Kenyon Martin told his wife, I love you to death, but, I wouldn't come kiss you after the game. I'd be with my teammates celebrating. And, little does he know, Julius Randle does this just about after every game. And he doesn't know, all he can see is what they showed on TNT. He doesn't know if he clapped his teammates' hands after the game or what. Then, of course, they're going into the locker room together. But I thought it was, tasteless for them to get on Julius Randle for going over and celebrating with his family and greeting his family, mainly his son, after playing, that type of a basketball game. Because if there's anything to complain about with Julius Randle, which there is, obviously, there's plenty of things to criticize Julius Randle on. Plenty of things. Loving his family is not one of them, in my opinion, right? That's not one of them, and I don't think you should even go there. I thought it was a ridiculous take by Kenyon Martin. I'm pretty sure he doesn't listen to this show, but if by any means or any way he hears this, Kenyon Martin, it was stupid. It was dumb. I don't know, it was dumb. You know what I mean? Complain about that he didn't get enough rebounds or his energy hasn't been there for the series. Not that he celebrated it with his family. And then he's saying, he doesn't even look happy. Well, they're still down 3-2. He shouldn't be happy. They can still get eliminated if they lose tonight, right? I thought it was a dumb take. Andy, I don't know your thoughts on it.
Well, Sim, I think it doesn't even deserve commenting, to be true, because it feels like he's looking for, some kind of attention and stuff like that. Like you said, everybody after the game, even if it was a second after the last buzzer or whatever, I don't think his teammates were offended by that, right? If he did something that offended the teammate, broke the, camaraderie, whatever, you can have, stuff versus Julius Randle, but him going to his wife and son, it's absurd that he even took a jab that way.
Right.
Sim, if we would want to be lower ourselves to his level at this point of his career, at 28, if I'm sure he was after a divorce already, Kenyon Martin, right? So what is he talking about? I mean, judging his private life, right? So this is even
exactly judging his private life it's crazy, man. Just the lengths that people will go through to, go viral or, try to make some noise so maybe you can get a show or something. I don't know, or just to, tease somebody else. You know what I mean? That you're supposed to be in the same brotherhood. You know what I mean? Right. If anything, say, I'm going to give him some advice or something. I don't know. It was just dumb. It was just a dumb take. And then they're like, oh, she's the only one with his jersey on. And it was stupid.
Yeah. And Sim, just to add to that, listen, that Gilbert Arenas show, I don't watch it like frequently, but every now and then we see clips from that. And the only clips that like make attention is like those exactly jabs, not only at the Knicks, at other, superstars around the league and stuff like that, but it's always has to be attention grabbing comment.
Right.
It's not like, this or that. They're just spilling stuff out to get, attention. So for me, it's like, I think that's just that kind of a show. And that's why Gilbert is, asking, those guys that can stir stuff up, that don't realize that their reputation is going to go down the league or whatever and stuff like that. So I think that was maybe not planned, but he wasn't afraid that, that's going to, hurt his sponsorship deals, whatever. Yeah. They just don't have probably nothing left. And that's why they're looking for any kind of attention. So.
Yep. Yeah. Ridiculous stuff, man. You know what I mean? And Kenyon Martin is somebody who I like. I don't know how much now, to be honest with you, because I felt that was a stupid take. I don't know how much I lost some respect for him, I guess I'll say that.
Yeah.
That one. You know what I mean? Lost some respect for him. But let's get to the injury report, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, the New York Knicks will probably be without Emmanuel Quickly again. He's doubtful for tonight with a left sprained ankle, thanks to Bam Adebayo. If you haven't seen the video, please go check it out. We still have time to send it to the league. If you can share it to the NBA officials, whoever. You know what I mean? If anybody knows Scott Foster's Twitter or email, send it to Scott Foster because he's going to be the crew chief for tonight. All right, send it to him. But Quickly is going to be doubtful for tonight, or he is doubtful. Bam Adebayo is available, right shoulder discomfort. You know what I mean? I hope the Knicks are looking at the injury report and they bang him in the shoulder every time he goes up. Jimmy Butler is probable. I mean, I don't even know why he's on the injury report, to be honest with you. You know he's going to play.
Yeah, that's not fooling anybody.
Right.
Right.
He's probable for tonight with a right ankle sprain. Caleb Martin is probable for tonight with a back contusion. Cody Zeller is available. Obviously, Victor Oladipo and Tyler Hero are out. But man, Emmanuel quickly out. And, I don't even know if the Knicks get past this game and make it to game 7, if he'll be back for game 7. I don't even know if he'll be back for game
Yeah,
7.
I think that his injury is probably taking him out. Listen, maybe he would be back in the Eastern Conference Finals, probably not game 1 even, but that injury, I think, it's not like he's waiting and looking what's going to be the situation like that. I'm not saying that that's Emmanuel Quickly's agenda, right? I think if he only could go, he would go. But I think, it's kind of a deeper injury that just, that's something that he can play through.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are your injury reports, ladies and gentlemen. And then now let's take a look at the starting lineups. And, nothing new when it comes to the starting lineups, ladies and gentlemen. For the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. And for the Miami Heat, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo. We know who the starting lineup is. I mean, we know that. I guess my question for you, Andy, is, are we going to get anything from the bench? Because the bench, man, has not been giving us, they've barely been giving us anything. It's been a tough go of it for the bench in this series.
That's true, Sim. Listen, for that to happen, I think, if, for example, the Knicks bench could give us 20 points, I think that's an easy win for the Knicks. Not expecting that. That would be like someone would have to be hot, right?
Right.
So I'm not expecting it that good, but, just them plugging in and helping out the Knicks starters with some quality minutes off the bench, that will be still great as far as I see it, because, Grimes and Brunson played 48 minutes both, right? This game at halftime, they're gonna, have to, get some fluids like straight up to the, like no matter if they're gonna feel good, just fluid them up in the halftime, right? Because
if I was Jalen Brunson and Quentin Grimes, all day yesterday, I would have sat in a lazy boy chair with an IV in my arm in the AC.
Exactly. With my feet up, right?
With my feet up. With my feet up. That would have been the routine for yesterday. You know what I mean? Because, those IVs, replacing the fluids in your body really do help to give you some energy and replace electrolytes and things like that. That would have been the routine. That would have been the routine for yesterday, because I don't expect Tom Thibodeau to do anything different than play those guys for as many minutes as he needs them.
Well, for Jalen Brunson, I'm expecting 48 minutes from him. I'm not gonna lie. I hope if Josh Hart can help out, Quentin Grimes and Jimmy Butler, that would, tell you something that, Grimes can get a couple of minutes of rest. And I think it's really important because that last, Bam collision with him, I think it caused Grimes actually not to hyperextend his knee, but just to cramp it up, because it clearly looked like, he felt so much pain, but he was able to step on it and stuff like that. And I believe that, if he felt the cramping up even harder and he just, launched himself for the ball, even if it was a foul call, it would break up the play and he could stretch it out. So I think that was the case with Quentin late in that game. And yeah, I think, one of the keys to this game, except the shooting, from 3 and the free throw shooting, I think it might be Josh Hart. We need his minutes. The last couple of games, he kind of played under what I was expecting him to give the Knicks. And I think, him getting off the bench is literally the key thing that might, throw this game the Knicks way.
Yeah, the Knicks need something from the bench because Ricardo is saying, the bench is, he says, Sim, the bench is where and why we're down in this series. And, I don't disagree with you. There's other things, there's other reasons, but they're a big part of the reason why we're down in this series. They need something from the bench. Hopefully Josh Hart can find his mojo, give you a good 12 points. Maybe Hartenstein can give you 8 points. You know what I mean? And maybe Obi can give you 8 points or something like that. You need something. If we can get, 20, 28 points from the bench, that'd be such a big boost. And then if Julius Randle can have a good basketball game, Brunson, RJ, there you go. But we can't have just 3 guys in double digits. We got to get a fourth somewhere. In the last 2 games, it's been Brunson, RJ, Randle in double digits. You know what I mean? And, we can't expect, Brunson's going to go out and play his basketball game. You know what I mean? But we're asking so much of him to have to score 38, 40 points per game. Which means RJ and Randle might need to up their scoring some, get 28, 30 points or something like that. But if the bench can come through, that's going to help everybody. Because now you can keep Brunson on the bench a little bit longer, Quentin Grimes on the bench a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? Even Julius and RJ, keep them on the bench a little bit longer if the bench can come through and give us some buckets, give us some points. Play defense, though. That's the one thing. Because, and this has been the dilemma over the series, too, Spoelstra always has a starter on the floor. Always. And Tom Thibodeau started to do that as well. I mean, I guess because you're in a 9-man rotation, you basically always have a starter on the floor. But, there's always Bam Adebayo or Butler out there on the floor. You rarely see both of them on the bench together. If at all. I don't know if I've seen both of them on the bench together in this series. But Tom Thibodeau, he will have Randle and Brunson both on the bench. Obviously he didn't do that in the last game. Brunson played 48 minutes. But I don't think you can do that. You've got to match the firepower that's on the floor. The bench can't get it done. I think Tom Thibodeau realizes that, though. I think he realizes that, and part of the reason why you've seen Brunson play 48 minutes, plus, Josh Hart was in foul trouble, so you needed to have Brunson out there on the floor. But the bench just isn't getting it done, so you've got to match their firepower. Those guys may just have to go, 40-plus, high 40s, minutes, high 40s. They may have to.
Yes, I got 2 things on this. For one, 48 minutes from Brunson, you got to also look how those minutes looked. He's getting picked up full court. And for a point guard, bringing up the ball literally every possession, being picked up full court, each and every possession, it's taking a toll on you. And I'm not saying, we saw like 2 or 3 possessions that they were just literally letting Brunson run to the corner and someone else was bringing up the ball, and RJ and I think Julius, whatever it was, and we got a turnover there. So he couldn't even rest on the offensive end for a possession or 2, right?
Right.
So that's also a thing. And like you said, that Tibbs can't do it, can't put, both of them. I think it was always because we were down, right? If we were like up by 10, 12, maybe Tibbs would have the guts to bring in Deuce McBride for like 3-4 possessions, which would mean for Brunson to have like 2 minutes on the bench, right? 2 minutes in the first half, 2 minutes in the second half, and then you have like 43 minutes, which is a totally different thing than 48 being picked up full court, right? So I think if the Knicks jump to a lead and try to keep it, Tibbs is going to have different rotations than when we're going to be down by 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then you're just playing with, the whole season online. So you got to have the best guys on the court, basically the whole game.
Yeah. And the thing is, I seen Josh, he's in the chat, he said, he'd rather not Brunson play 48 minutes. It's not sustainable. I agree. It'll be tough for him, but right now you got to do what you got to do to win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if that means guys play 48 minutes, then guys got to play 48 minutes because you got to get to the next game. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do whatever you got to do to win the basketball game. And if that's what it means, that's what it means. I play the whole starting 48 minutes if I have to. I don't care. I want to win. You know what I mean? You can say, well, it's not sustainable to Game 7, but we got to get to Game 7. Got to get there. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get there. Let's hope that the Knicks can get a lead and, don't have to play guys so many minutes. But, I just want to win. I don't care who's on the floor. This guy, Milt. Hey, Milt, man. He said, I'm a super Heat fan. That's why I talk like this. You don't see nobody else in here but me. Oh, they're in here. They're just undercover. But I think you're an undercover Knicks fan because you spend a lot of time in our chat. You know what I mean? So, you kind of inducted yourself as an undercover Knicks fan for real. You say you're a Heat fan, but you're enjoying listening to us talk about the Knicks. He's an undercover Knicks fan. Doing his team dirty. I don't understand why he's not in a Miami Heat podcast. Milton, just tell me why you're not in a Miami Heat podcast. I want to hear you say it for yourself. I don't want to assume anything. I want to hear why you're not in a Miami Heat podcast right now.
So I think Milton still has time to even buy a ticket for the playoff game because that gym is going to be, maybe not half empty, but they're going to have plenty of empty seats.
He still has time.
Like an hour before the game, right? So
yeah, and as a matter of fact, Andy, you can get those seats right now for $160.
Right, without a coupon, right?
Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you try to, if this was Game 6 in New York and you were trying to get a ticket, first of all, you're not if you do get a ticket, the cheap seats is probably $500 or $600 right now. If it goes to a Game 7, that's what the cheap seats are going to be. But, Milton, why are you in the New York Knicks chat right now? Just, that's all I want to know because you're undercover Knicks fan for real. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's talk about some stats, some game stats. Because, there are a few things that I think was significant in the last game that I think helped the Knicks to win. They got the rebounding mojo back. Right? I think that was a big one. They dominated the glass for the most part in the previous game. The two games in Miami, the Knicks allowed the Miami Heat to not dominate the glass, but win the battle of the boards. And that marked, in my opinion, a big change in the way that the Knicks were playing because the Knicks for the first two games had dominated the glass. And so I think Miami made a real effort to be on the glass and make sure that the Knicks don't dominate the glass. I think it's going to be the same way for this game because I think they know, hey, the Knicks were on the glass in the last game. It's a big reason why they won the game. You know what I mean? So I think Miami is going to make a big effort to be on the boards. Mitchell Robinson, you should be aware of that. Right? Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo, what's the other guy? Cody Zeller. All of these guys are going to be hitting the glass hard. They're going to be boxing you out hard. You know what I mean? So you really got to be ready for it, be prepared for it. And don't let it get under you, under your skin. You box out back. You know what I mean? And grab those offensive rebounds. Grab those defensive rebounds. We need Mitch grabbing 11, 12, 13 boards today. You know what I'm saying? Julius Randle had 5 rebounds last game. I don't think that's going to be enough this game. We're going to need Julius Randle on the boards too. I think we're going to need everybody. R.J. Barrett, Isaiah Hartenstein. Everybody's got to hit the glass because I think Miami's going to come out and try to rebound the ball. They're not shooting the ball well. They didn't shoot the ball well last game. They've had basically one game this series where they've shot the ball well, right? One game this series. So rebounding is critical for both teams. Miami's shooting the ball 43% from the field and 31% from the three-point line this series. They're averaging 40 rebounds per game. Andy, just your thoughts on the rebounding I thought the Knicks did a good job in the last game. They've got to do it again tonight. For the season, not for the season, for the series, the Knicks are averaging 46 rebounds per game. The Knicks are actually shooting the ball a little bit better than Miami. 44% from the field. They're shooting 30% from the three-point line. Obviously, 30% ain't great. But they're shooting the ball a little bit better than Miami from the field, but not as good from the three-point line. It obviously turned in the last game because the Knicks shot the ball well from both. But rebounds, man, rebounds are important because neither team is shooting the ball well. Can the Knicks dominate the glass this game?
Well, Sim, definitely they can do it. Like you said, I'm not expecting Julius Randle to have 5 rebounds. I bet you he's going to have around 10 because rebounding as an overall stat in basketball is one of the most important stats. I think between rebounding, assists, steals, and even turnovers, I think rebounding might be the most important stat of them all. Not only you stop when you have a defensive rebound, you stop the, competition having the possession. So that ends their possession. But on the offensive end, you get a chance for second points or second, possession, right? So I think that the rebounding is the most important stat. Of course, shooting great, right? So, and the Knicks have the opportunity. We know that they can out rebound. We out rebounded the Cavs, which have a way longer lineup than the Heat have, right? They had Mobley, they had Allen, they had, all of those long, lengthy, athletic guys. So out rebounding the Heat shouldn't even be a problem. Out rebounding the Heat is going to be all about effort. We got the physical ability to do that. So for me, it's going to be all about the effort in this game as far as it goes for rebounding numbers.
Yeah, without a doubt. The bench, the Knicks bench, let me see, the Miami Heat bench is averaging 12.6 rebounds per game. And by the way, they're averaging 31.6 points per game, the Heat bench. But the Knicks bench, I think, has been at least a positive over the Heat's bench on the glass. No, not even that. 9.2 rebounds for the Knicks bench. Only 14 points. They're only playing 12 minutes. This reminds me of, back in December when guys were hurt, the Knicks bench were having these type of performances. The Knicks were actually on an 8-game win streak, I think, at that point, though. Right? And we were talking about the Knicks bench having to, step up.
Turn it around.
And turn it around. Yeah, but, rebounding the ball, I believe, I agree. Rebounding the ball is going to be key, a huge key to this basketball game. The Knicks shot the ball well the last game, though, which helps you on the glass because you don't have to get as many offensive rebounds. Do you think, Andy, that the Knicks, and people in the chat, do you think the Knicks are coming out of their slump or whatever it is that you want to call it? Do you think they're coming out of it right now? Because, the last 2 games, they've shot the ball very well in the last 2 games. Miami shot the ball well in one of those games. They didn't shoot the ball well in the previous game. Are they coming out of it? Can they sustain?
We know that, we know that the Knicks are a streaky team. We saw this season, like I said, on the previous pregame show. We saw winning streaks. We saw losing streaks. We saw winning streaks again, right? Mm-hmm. I hope we're going to be on a winning streak, starting the previous game. And, as far as, the Knicks winning streaks, they basically were longer winning streaks. So let's hope this is going to be a W and the next game is going to be a W. Like you said, it's for the Knicks offense. Even Tibbs mentioned it I think it was after the last game, that he didn't change much in the offense.
Right.
So, and of course, he's going to tweak it here and there whenever he can do it versus a certain opponent. And this being the Heat, he could do a tweak here and there. But this is basically the whole offense the Knicks were playing the whole season. So I don't think there's any secrets around the NBA, what the Knicks are going to do versus the Heat, what the Heat are going to do versus the Knicks. In game 6 and 7, it's basically all about effort, shot making, and those hustle plays that might be in a close game, might be deciding the result of the whole game.
Yeah. They're shooting over the last 2 games 49% from the field. They're shooting 35.5% from the 3-point line over the last 2 games. 42.5 rebounds, 22 assists, 18 turnovers.
That's a stat that you can always, have it better, right? And I think 18 in a playoff game is a little bit too much,
especially in these type of games, because they're only averaging 106.5 points per game over the last 2 games. Miami over the last 2 games are averaging 106. They're shooting 44.5% from the field, and they're shooting 31.7% from the 3-point line. Do you think? I seen Josh in here and said, he thinks the Knicks are coming out of the slump because Grimes is in the lineup. Do you think that is the reason that the Knicks are coming out of their shooting slump?
I got 2 sides of the coin on this story. Me personally, when I was a player, sometimes you had those slumps, but for me, it was more about clearly, maybe not luck, because that would mean I was just a lucky shooter, but I had, games that you threw the ball, towards the hoop and it fell in, and you were just going at the hoop because you didn't even believe that it's going to go in, and it went in, right? So luck is a tiny bit of a factor here. At the NBA level, I think it's more about, just that maybe split second, maybe more stress, concentration, and stuff like that, because nobody's going to fix shooting mechanics, between these games and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's more about confidence and concentration in these games, and just taking care of the pressure, right? Because I know that the pressure is really high for these guys just because of the stakes of the game, right? So I hope we're not going to bend under the pressure, and we're going to make these shots tonight.
Yeah. I do think it's partly due to Quentin Grimes being in the lineup. I also think it's partly due to the Knicks just, averages, coming around. But I feel like with Quentin Grimes in the lineup, it's not just the fact that he can hit the 3, because he hasn't really been shooting the ball well. He didn't really shoot the ball well in the last game. But it's also his ability to go off the dribble, right? He's a threat going off the dribble. Josh Hart really isn't a threat going off. He can be a threat going off the dribble, but sometimes he struggles. His decision-making could be a little iffy. We just need Quentin Grimes to make his layups when he does go off the dribble. You know what I mean? But he does a better job. He's quicker off the dribble. And I don't mean like, taking 3 and 4, 5 dribbles, but when the ball swung to him, boom, he can strike really quick. You know what I mean? And he's a threat in that way.
I was going to say, I think he's a way more bigger offensive threat than Josh Hart.
Yeah.
Josh Hart can get you that offensive rebound that probably nobody like on the Knicks that can get you one, right?
Yeah.
But I think if I'm on the Heat, I'm more afraid of Quentin Grimes making that 3, and that's why I got to close out. And closing out on a guy like Quentin Grimes opens up several offensive options. Getting to the hoop, him passing while on the route to the hoop, him stretching the floor by passing it around the 3-point line. So he's a way bigger threat, which means he's that kind of an option in the Knicks offense. And I think his teammates also feel that way. So they know that they can rely on his, offensive abilities more than on Josh's Hart, right?
So, and he has a much quicker trigger too.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Higher release, just that forms him. If you're defending a guy and you know that he has such a pretty shot, bro.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And, Josh Hart hesitates. He's not sure if he wants to shoot it. Or, he'll catch the ball in position to shoot it. The defense hasn't even reached him yet. And he'll throw a pump fake, throw a jab, and then pass it to someone else. Quentin Grimes will shoot it. Make it or miss, he'll shoot it. You know what I mean? And like Josh was saying, before when he was been on the show, he feels that's a big, that's a big threat. That, like you're just saying, the Miami Heat are more afraid of Quentin Grimes in that regard. Now, can Josh Hart just bring the energy that he was bringing earlier in the season off the bench? You know what I mean? Because we're definitely going to need that energy off the bench. You know what I mean? I feel like some parts of this series have gotten to Josh Hart because Miami's allowed to play physical and be dirty and be aggressive and rarely get the calls against them. But when he plays, he gets corny calls against them. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's bothered him a little bit, but he's just got to come out and be aggressive coming off the bench. Be aggressive.
Yeah, that's true. And Sim, also on Josh Hart, his offense, I think mainly is based on a faster paced game, which means he can pick up the ball and run through the whole court and try to score. We know that versus the Heat in the playoffs, that's not going to happen because either they're going to foul him on the way there, or, they're going to crowd the paint so much so he has to put up the ball, pass it, whatever, and they're going to stop it. So there's not many fast break points on neither of these teams, neither side. That's why his kind of offense is limited even more than throughout the season that we saw him play, those great offensive games on the Knicks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Big shout out to the Nigga Time Show in the building. Thank you for joining us, my man. One of these days, we've talked about it a lot, but one of these days we finally going to get together and do something. It's just, we both be pretty busy with our shows and stuff like that, but, we're going to make it happen, But shout out to the Nigga Time Show here in the chat, in the building with us today. You know what I mean? Man, it's a big one tonight. It's a big one. I love the way, I can't repeat it enough, just the way that the Knicks stepped up in Game 6. For a young team, learning how to play in the playoffs, figuring it out. They're figuring it out. And for them to step up with the lights as bright as they were, that was a big game for them. I think a big learning experience for them, and it's going to go a long way as they move on. You're talking about the team with the least playoff experience left in the playoffs, where the Miami Heat have the most playoff experience in the playoffs. So that's big for them, and I think if they can get this win tonight, that's going to be some trouble for Miami going back to New York. You know what I mean? That's going to be some trouble for Miami going back to New York if they can get this win tonight. The Knicks got to do the little things, though. Right? They got to do all of the little things. I think they know this. I think this is something that they've learned in this series, right? That they got to do the little things that win them the basketball game. R.J. Barrett talked about it in his post-game, not really his post-game press conference where he's sitting on the stand, but when he was talking to Alan Hahn and those guys, he talked about the little things that the Knicks have got to do to win, and that they're learning to do those little things. And, when I look at the faces on these guys, they're not celebrating because they won game 2. They feel like they got a lot more work to do. They are focused. Every single one of them, they're super duper focused. They're ready for this game. So, so are the Miami Heat players. They're ready for this game too. Miami's ready. But I think the Knicks are ready as well. They're as focused as I've ever seen them be focused.
Yeah. Jalen Brunson, though, he looks focused like throughout his whole career, right? Only in like after games and those press conferences, sometimes you can see a smile, but he's still like looking like, when he has those interviews with Josh Hart by his side, he's like still like, what are you talking about? Stuff like that. So he's probably a funny guy, off the cameras, off the court, whatever, in the backgrounds and behind the scenes. But on the court, he's as serious as it gets, right? So,
yeah, no doubt, man. What are your keys? What are your biggest keys to the game tonight, Andy?
For me, it's simple, Sim. Make shots, make free throws. Shots in 3-pointers, basically in 3-pointers, because that shot in this series is going to be key, like I always repeat, and the rebounding. Of course, hustle plays and effort on defense, because we can't leave these guys open on the three, because like you said, they didn't shoot the ball well throughout the season, but they got capable shooters, and you don't want to let those guys get hot. Neither
Right.
Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Kelly Martin, whoever on that court. You don't want them to make those threes. Last game, I think Kevin Love didn't score from three, but he still had open shots, and I don't think we can afford, Kevin Love to get hot, because he had games in the NBA that he scored 5-6 threes a game, and that would be the end of for the Knicks if he scored that, probably.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing tonight is going to be matching the energy and physicality of the Miami Heat. I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing, because they don't want to go back to New York, right? These guys have been in, deep in the playoffs. They've experienced a lot. Kyle Lowry's experienced a lot as far as, making it to the championship, being eliminated in the playoffs, being up in the series, being down in the series. He's been through it all. Kevin Love has been through it all. Jimmy Butler's been through a lot. Like, these guys they've been there, and I think they understand the importance of closing out a series. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but they understand that importance, and they want to get this done tonight. They don't want to go back to New York, because they go back to New York. You know what I mean? I mean, when you go back to New York, first of all, the pressure has switched over to Miami now. You got to get it done in Game 6. You listen to you took out the number 1 seed. People always say, "Oh, they're the 8th seed," but they took out the number 1 seed. They got all the playoff experience. In their minds, they're supposed to be going to the championship this year, right? They were in the championship 2 years ago, Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're supposed to be the team that's going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Without a doubt, that's what they feel. So all the pressure is on them in this game. And if the Knicks stay close, and it's close down the stretch, we'll see how they react. But that pressure is going to pick up for them. You know what I'm saying? The pressure is going to pick up. So, they're coming out with extreme energy, right? They're going to be extremely focused. They're coming out to swing right off the bat. They want to get this game knocked out early. And that's what you're supposed to do, right? They're supposed to get this. They want to get this out early. The Knicks can't let this game get out of hand early. Because if the Knicks let this game get out of hand early, I don't know if they're coming back. Right? So they gotta stay with them, tooth and nail the entire game, and put that pressure on them down the stretch. You know what I mean? So I think that's the first thing. They got to match the energy and physicality of the Miami Heat. Andy, how do they do that?
Well, by playing, really hard, and even like we said before at the beginning of the show, even dirty basketball. Like you said, I also feel the same way. We can't afford the Knicks to go down by 15 or even more points, because, like you said, I don't think we have the firepower to come over a team like the Heat, which is playing good defense. They have an experienced coach which can adjust to our, hot streaking guys. And that's going to be a totally different thing. But if we jump out to that, lead, it depends how the Heat are going to react, because they might be, like, listen, we got to do this, we got to do that. That ain't going to be working. This ain't going to be working. And sometimes those small mishaps and even second chance points, open threes by even by luck, this can turn the game around both ways. But Sim, we also saw games that a team was down in the first half and then they came back from 20-point game. I know it's really rare in the playoffs, because we saw that in the season happening, but I don't think you can give up till basically it's like literally impossible to get the W. And even if this means playing a guy like Evan Fournier, playing whoever's on the bench, Tibbs has to use each and every resource possible to get this W today. Because unless that, they might be flying from Miami to Cancun.
Not trying to do that. Definitely not trying to do that. Nigga Time Show said all facts. We need to hit them first and build the pressure in the first. See, I agree with that. You know, if we can start building that pressure in the first quarter when the game starts, now they have this pressure on them the entire game. Doesn't mean the Knicks can relax, right? But they have this pressure on them the entire game of feeling like, yo, we got to get this, you know, we got to stop playing. You know what I mean? And that pressure can pick up. That pressure can definitely pick up. I think the Knicks have to continue to play with pace. I think they did so in game 3. Game 4. I think they did so in game 5. Played with more pace and with more ball and man movement, not just ball movement. What Miami has done well throughout the series, because I think if you go back and you look, the Knicks have moved the ball and you know, they've moved the basketball, but Miami's done a really, really good job closing out. I think the Knicks did a better job moving people in the last couple of games too, not just the ball, right? But actually moving people, more people cutting, more screens, more things happening, because you got to figure out a way to loosen up the defense. You know what I mean? And when you have an aggressive defense, I was on Dope Soul last night with Steph. When you have an aggressive defense, one of the best ways to loosen it up is to move people, right? Move people, move the ball. It's going to make that defense have to move. And when you have an aggressive defense, they might be sticking tight to you. They might be, going for steals, doing things like that. But when you're moving people, you're moving the ball, you can use their aggressiveness against them, which I think earlier in the series, Spoelstra did a good job using the Knicks' aggression against them. You know what I'm saying? And I think the Knicks have to they've got to continue to move, play with pace, move, get quick shots if they can get quick shots. You know what I mean? And loosen up that defense.
Yeah, make the defense work. If they're going to be tired, that the probability of them making a worse decision or a bad play is way higher than if they like, listen, we ain't gonna even close out to these guys because they ain't making shots, right? So
yeah, that's the next key, making shots. No matter how much ball movement, man movement, pace you play with, you got to make shots. If you don't make shots, then you forget about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you look like the Phoenix Suns yesterday versus the Denver Nuggets.
Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Can you believe it? They got smacked.
They got smacked. I hope they, there's no way. And I noticed that there's no way then the Knicks gonna get smacked like that, because I was like, it was so bad. I was feeling bad for the Suns.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They got smacked. Hopefully, Devin Booker wants out.
Oh, there's going to be more people wanting out from that mess.
You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, Devin Booker wants to get up out of there. I don't know if he does, because he got KD over there with him, but who knows? Fred VanVleet might be headed over there or something like that too, to take the place of Chris Paul. So that could change things. But anyway, back to the Knicks. We better not get smacked like that.
Oh, yeah.
We better
Report cards are gonna come back really bad.
Better not
if we
get
do
smacked
that,
like that, man. Better not. Might be a riot in Miami if we get smacked like that. But yeah, play with pace and with movement, man and ball movement. Make shots. We got to defend with multiple efforts, I think. Last game, I think the Knicks did a much better job defending with multiple efforts, like I just said. You know what I mean? The ball gets swung here, I'm there. Swung over here now, someone else is there. Swung over here now, somebody else is there. And did a good job. Even if somebody was open, closing out really, really hard, not just jogging to the closeout because you think you're not going to get there, but closing out really, really hard because, even if you're not going to make it, but you close out hard, you may make that person rush the shot. Or they may take their eyes off the rim and glance at you just a split second, just enough to throw their shot off. So it's important that you still close out hard, even if you may not get there. So the multiple efforts on defense, multiple efforts for the loose ball, the Knicks did a much better job in Game 5 taking care of business in that department. You know what I'm saying? Game 4 was Game 4 was like the perfect storm against the Knicks. They couldn't get offensive rebound, or they couldn't get a defensive rebound. Miami was grabbing offensive rebounds. Miami was knocking down shots. They were getting every single loose ball, and the referees were in their back pocket. It was a perfect storm against the Knicks in Game 4. You know, but the amount of loose balls that Miami got and offensive rebounds that Miami got was sickening. I was like, what are we doing? The Knicks did a much better job in Game 5. And I think they're going to continue to do that tonight. You know what I'm saying? Making those multiple efforts. They learned their lesson. This has been a team that's been resilient all season long, and they've learned lessons all season. And they were able to apply those lessons. And I think that's part of the way, you know, why they were streaky, because they'd go through these moments where they're losing in some area and they'd figure it out, and then they'd go on a winning streak by applying those lessons. You know what I mean? And I think they've learned in this series. And the learning curve has to be faster, but they learned. And I think they're going to do the same thing tonight. We'll see multiple efforts on the defensive side of the ball. Less doubling. You know, I feel like part of the reason why you see us running around crazy out there is because we're doubling on every single possession.
And we're doubling too fast, Sim. I understand when the guy is clearly on one side and it's like 5 seconds into the shot clock, right? So then you can double, because even if he swings the ball, it's going to be like split seconds for the other guy to make a shot, right? But if we're doing it early in the shot clock, they can swing it and they still have time to work, make us work and break the whole defense up. So I think, you know, late in the shot clock, cool. Early in the shot clock, no for me.
Yeah. And I don't think you have to double on every single possession.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, if Jimmy Butler is going to, you know, hit mid-range, he's not going to shoot threes. He's going to shoot that mid-range. Let him shoot that, not let him shoot the mid-range, but, you know, you're going to play defense. Let that guy defend him one-on-one.
Yeah. One-on-one will make him make that fadeaway jumper, which, you know, is in his offensive skill set. But
it is.
I think it's one of the hardest shots for him to make. So
You know, if somebody gets like super duper hot, then I get it. You know, send a double team. But I don't think you do it right off the top, because when you do it,
if someone's super duper hot, you got to do the dirty play. That's the best time to do the dirty play.
Yeah, that's when you do the dirty play. You know what I'm saying? That's when you do the dirty play.
Don't wait for the guy to score, 10 straight points on you. You know, after 6, you better be done
after
for
6. Now it's time to put him on the floor. That's why I wanted Julius Randle to put Bam on the floor when he got that dunk at the end of the last game.
I was Sim when I saw that tweet of yours, because I knew I was thinking exactly the same thing. Why didn't he put him on his behind when that was, like you said, he had one foul. The game wasn't like that close that it would hurt you.
Yeah.
That, something like, I was like, that was the time, bro. That was the time that he should have been, taking revenge for the whole Knicks.
Put him on the floor. You know what I'm saying? The same way Jared Allen did. Was it Jared Allen? Jared Allen did to him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right? He put him on the floor. Randall was going up for a dunk. He said, nah, it's not happening. Right? Because they were trying to step up their physicality. Put him on the floor. And you got to do that sometimes to send a message. It didn't work for Cleveland, but it woke the Knicks up. They were like, oh, these dudes ain't, they coming out, they're playing serious. You know what I mean? I'd have put Bam's ass on the floor. You know what I mean? And if he would have got up wanting to fight, then we would have just been throwing hands. I'm a little dude. I'm, compared to him, a little dude, so it would have been whatever. But, it would have just had to happen. I would have tried to foul him, given the size I am, I would have tried to foul him as much as I could. That's something that I think we lack on this basketball team, but we're learning how to get it by playing Miami right now, I think. You know what I'm saying? We're figuring it out. This series is going to make us better. win the series, lose the series, it's going to make us better. You know what I mean? Because we're learning some things that we have to do in the playoffs and how to get better in the playoffs. So, if anything, we learned that from this series. We learned that from throughout the series that we're actually, I think we can apply it tonight. I really do. I think we can apply it. Take care of the ball, ladies and gentlemen, and stay under composure. Stay composed. 18 turnovers a game over the last 2 games. You know, and listen, in a series like this, to me, 13 turnovers is a lot in a series like this because neither team is getting up a lot of attempts, right? They're both low. For teams left in the playoffs, they're both towards the bottom as far as the number of attempts per game. And then they're not shooting the ball well, either team. So taking care of the ball is even more important. You know what I mean? The Knicks had 18 turnovers. 18 turnovers over in the last 2 games. Averaged 18 turnovers. They gotta take care of the ball, especially in the fourth quarter, and stay composed because Miami's gonna play aggressive throughout the game. They're playing defense baseline to baseline. You know what I'm saying? On every single possession. They're making it so tough on Jalen Brunson, which makes it even more respectable that he went 48 minutes and dropped 38 points on these dudes because of the type of defense that they're putting on them. Different players, coast to coast defense. They're fouling him on every single possession. You know what I'm saying? Even when he doesn't have the basketball. You know what I mean? They take the mantra, all 5 guys foul on every single possession. They can only call it on one person. That's how they play.
Right. Exactly.
That's how they play. You know what I mean? And it makes it tough to take care of the ball in that situation. But you got to. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, you guys are going to have ball handling duties. You know what I mean? Because of the way that they're going to play Jalen Brunson. So you've got to take care of the basketball, be able to get into your sets, you know what I mean, and execute. And come down the stretch. You gotta be composed. Got to be composed because there's nobody out there. Nobody's coming to save you. You know what I mean? Can they do it, Andy? What do they have to do to be composed? Like what do they got to do? How can Tom Thibodeau help them?
Well, Sim, for me, the composure is going to be way easier to handle if they're going to have the lead. If it's going to be like they're playing from behind in the 3rd, 5th possession of the game, it's going to be way easier to trigger the pressure on the Knicks there. And I'm most afraid of Julius Randle not handling the pressure. It's not like I'm looking at him, but I think he has the most problems with the pressure because he puts basically most of the pressure by himself on himself. But I think, then you got to go to a guy like RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson. Right. Get the game closer, and Julius is going to regain his confidence a little bit more. And I'm not saying that this happens every game, but I noticed that, the biggest problem from the Knicks, best players with pressure is handling the pressure by Julius Randle. So you don't want to look at Julius's way when he has his head down and stuff like that. You got to recognize that because up, 2-3 plays in a row of the Knicks not scoring, might be, a bad situation, causing a bad situation for the Harlem Knicks.
Yeah. How do you feel about Deuce? Do you hear a lot of people in the chat say, hey, let Deuce come in and help handle some of those ball handling duties.
Well, Sim, I think he can bring up the ball, but looking at Tibbs' rotations, he's going to use Deuce to bring up the ball, pass it up, and he's going to sit him in the corner. And I don't think Deuce is going to be having any kind of bad feelings about it, but we know that he's literally the least experienced guy probably on the team, maybe, except DeQuan Jeffries and guys that didn't even sniff the floor, right? But just a couple of minutes of taking the pressure off Jalen Brunson and letting him rest might be the thing that Jalen needs and that will help the whole Knicks roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, listen, I think as far as Deuce, maybe he gets a couple of spot minutes here and there. So here's what you can do, though, if you're Tom Thibodeau with Jalen Brunson, because I think, Tom Thibodeau, if the game is close, Brunson's going to be out there the entire game. But what you can do is just find those little spot minutes to give him, an extra
Right.
breather.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
ending the
saying?
quarters and stuff like that,
Right,
timeouts, just putting in play defense, offense, subs, and stuff like that.
right.
And that's going to be literally a couple of minutes of rest during the game for
Couple of
Jalen
minutes
Brunson.
of rest. You know what I'm saying? It could be Miami shooting a free throw. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, you know what? For this possession, I'm gonna let Deuce come in for Jalen Brunson for 1 or 2 possessions. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it may, it may be just the whole thing may be a minute, but he comes in for that whole minute. You know what I'm saying? He can handle the ball, for a minute. You know what I'm saying? He comes in for a minute, and then Jalen Brunson is right back in. Lets him get, a little bit of a breather. Maybe you do the same thing in the second. You're probably not going to do it in the fourth. Maybe you do this, the same in the third. And like you said, the end of quarters, etc. But you can find little areas throughout the game, to get Jalen Brunson out, maybe let Deuce come in for a couple of minutes. At the very
Yeah.
least, he can play defense.
Yeah. And so me personally, I know that it might sound crazy, but you know what I would do if I put Deuce on the court? I would have Mitch with him, and I would run a pick and roll for those guys, because I don't think Heat in the wildest dreams even saw a pick and roll from Deuce and Mitch together and just lob it off for Mitch. Mitch is gonna get that offensive possession, and we know that they ain't gonna be switching on that pick and roll or any kind of stuff like that. So that might throw them off of their defensive, scheme or plan, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a possession like that, gets you an easy bucket, right? Maybe then again, will you use them in a pick and roll with another guy, or play just a kind of wild possession, free flowing possession, totally out of the playbook. So sometimes basketball is just that simple. If you not used to, you don't have a game plan or a certain dude, right? So
Yeah. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, man. It's almost that time. We got about 2.5 hours before we get to the biggest game of the season for the New York Knicks. The biggest game of the season for some of these guys, the biggest game of their careers. Young basketball team. That's what happens when you're young. You know what I mean? Some of these things is the biggest. They become the biggest in your career, and this is how you learn how to advance, because you got to figure out how to play during these times. But Andy, what's your prediction for the night?
Well, Sim, I'm going to say that the Knicks are going to win. I'm wearing my lucky shirt on the pregame show. Last time I did it, we got a W. I hope it's going to be the same situation tonight. Like I said, I'm not expecting a big win. I'm going to take a win with a buzzer beater even.
Yeah, I'm taking any kind of. I'm taking any kind of.
Right.
Any kind of win. I don't care. I'm taking any kind of win. I'm predicting a Knicks win tonight, too. I feel like this team is uber focused. Listen, it wouldn't matter. I was going to predict, it's the playoffs. I'm predicting the Knicks to win.
Right.
But I think
and they're resilient, Sim. We got to be true to ourselves. They're resilient. They are a resilient bunch. We saw it throughout the season. We didn't see many blowouts, versus the Knicks. But, we either didn't get blown out. So I think this is going to be still a close game. And I think Miami is totally in our reach. We won a game in Miami. Scott Foster is the ref. The Heat lost 10 games when Scott Foster was reffing their games. I'm not saying that that's a totally thing and that I'm going to sleep easy before this game and stuff like that. But I think that's also a thing that you have behind of your head when you're a Knicks player, and you got that one positive thing that even if you play bad, you can think about, right? So maybe that's going to be their lucky charm.
Maybe. I mean, but yeah. I'm looking at the Knicks to get this win tonight, bring it back to New York, man, and then have a battle in Game 7. But I think we get this win tonight. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be the toughest win that these players have ever had to get. You know what I'm saying? If they get this win, it's going to be the toughest one that they ever got. No doubt about it. But I think they're up for the task. You know what I mean? But I'm going to get up out of here. Definitely be on the post-game show tonight. You know what I mean? Hopefully we'll be doing a Losers Lounge tonight. You know what I mean? Hopefully we'll be doing a Losers Lounge. So let's, Knicks fans, hopefully you got your tickets if you're in Miami so you can go there and dominate the arena. Let's push these Knicks to dominate the Miami Heat tonight. You know? These Heat fans, I don't know. Like, Milt has to come into our chat just to feel good about himself because the Knicks fans don't, the Heat fans don't have one. You know, they, like, whatever they do have is whack. You know, so they got to come over here where, you know, it really does get popping. You know, in other Knicks channels, Nigga Time Show, Dope Soul, you know what I'm saying? They got to go to where they can get some love at, where they can feel like they're part of the basketball scene or something like that. Because, you know, Miami fans are whack. But, you know, the team's not as whack. I will say that. They got a good basketball team. They got a decent basketball team. But, you know, I think the Knicks going to get the job done tonight. Anyway, I'm up out of here. Any last words you want to say, Andy?
Let's go, Knicks.
Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you guys tonight on the post-game show. Yeah, we're out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.